Hey, Blue UK Jazz Dance. It's talking on jazz. UK Jazz Dance has a lot of information missing on it. And why it's missing a lot of information? Because who is a dance leader? Dance is a subject that's studied to a PhD level. Now, you don't have to have a PhD, obviously, but I'm giving you insight that it can be studied. I'm a street dancer who's also studied dance to get a deeper understanding how to study my own dance. What disheartens me over the years has been UK club jazz dancers have faced a major injustice. The art form was developed by African Caribbeans and Africans and wider cultures, but mainly started within the roots of African, Caribbean and African homes. No one knows exactly when it started. It started in similar places all at the same time when jazz funk music was introduced. But the key thing that people got to understand, black people were dancing to jazz before jazz funk came. For example, many people were at stage schools. Many girls, black girls, were at stage school. And guys were at stage school learning tap, learning modern. You get me? Learning ballet. So there's a lot of misinformation about what started, when and how, etc. So you need to get a generic sort of foundation to be able to think simply and intelligently about UK club jazz dancing. So I'll give you an example. Right now we have something called urban fusion, which is just a fusion of the different dance styles, but that is not new. The dance evolved from fusion of dances, from a hybrid of dances in the beginning. From soul, from funk, from rock steady, from reggae, from individuals who had gone to dance schools, like I said, done tap, done ballet, done modern. So you have to have a simple, intelligent way to look at UK jazz dance. What disheartens me, first of all, if you're going to raise it in education, you have to understand education is an important tool for educating others, and you have to make sure you take up the responsibility to do your research, because you're going to meet people like Blue UK Jazz Dance, the founder of Juba Jazz Dancers, the founder of Body Function, the founder of DSJ, the founder of Gestures Contemporary Dance Company, the founder of Laid Back and Brown. These are all initiatives I created to celebrate UK club jazz dance, also to share UK club jazz dance in a celebratory way, in a bigger and bolder way, in which I educated individuals to understand. So the first thing I would say to individuals, look, we all study art. Art doesn't happen in a vacuum. Now repeat that again. Art doesn't happen in a vacuum. History doesn't happen in a vacuum. Now, UK club jazz dance is an art and has a history. UK club jazz dance is an art and has a history. So how come people don't study the history? UK club jazz dance has a heritage. Why? Because it comes from an African source. I'm called an African Caribbean in Britain. African and Caribbean. Now my first source is African. That is in my DNA, isn't it? And the DNA has what? Memory. So the first thing you look at is the heritage. How did Africans use dance for their young people in their great African kingdoms? Well, first of all, they used it for rites of passage. They used it for warriors' rites of passage. And you need to understand, back then, African young children, boys and girls, didn't dance together. They used dance as part of their rites of passage. A part of virtue was the reason why they weren't dancing together. How we dance in clubs now came about because of the enslavement is how we dance now. That's how it changed. So you have to go back to the source. How did we once dance before? We carry that DNA. There's such a thing called male bonding. There's activities and development that males do to bond. There's activities and developments that females do to bond. Why? So they learn their required roles within the society. The most important thing you need to look at is the use, the role, the social role and responsibility of African people's music. It's most important because it's symbolic. It's just not straight up. Like here we just play a guitar over one, play a drum. You couldn't do that. Within societies and communities, they had individuals whose role, for example, in West Africa, they have something called griots and griotesses. They were the carriers of the history. They were the storytellers. And they carried that history through music, through dance. So people had designated roles. It's not like here now. Everybody's playing drums. Everybody's dancing. We didn't have that. So you have to look back. Now, Africa is a big place. North, south, east and west. So it's different in different places. But we have a strong, overwhelming evidence that a lot of individuals came from West Africa. So if you look to Cuba, Cuba is a good example where the retentions of African culture, beliefs and values are still there. The Caribbean is a big place, and what people have not recognized is when they look at me, they just box me under the word African Caribbean, and I'm the same as every other African Caribbean. Not one of us are the same. Each of us have a different history. My father's from Jamaica in the north. My mum is from the south. I want people to think simply and intelligently about north-south in the UK. We talk about them. We make distinguishments between north and south. I'm from the north. We know the differences between the north and south. Do people know the difference between the north and south of the Caribbean islands? No, they do not. Because they don't do the research which goes back to what I'm saying. UK club jazz dance or dance is a subject. And you have to study it socially, physically, intellectually, culturally, emotionally, spiritually. Let me come with the Jamaican Grenadian DJ Rewind. You have to study it socially, physically, intellectually, culturally, emotionally, spiritually, politically, economically, technologically, environmentally, and legally. It's a subject that you study. It's an art. It's a social art form. If you want to know something about UK club jazz dance, you have to know what the social values are, the social beliefs. Where people coming from the north, south, east and west. Dance is influenced by architecture. Dance is influenced by the climate of the city. Dance is influenced by many, many, many things, and people really need to understand it's a subject. Blue UK jazz dance is come to disseminate bigger and bolder information on UK club jazz dance to the globe, because what's happened for 39 years, the least people to report on their history and development has been the individuals who innovated it. And the early pioneers, I'm one of them early pioneers, have faced major social injustices by those who've written. Many individuals have written, some from a perspective not drawn in the cultural heritage. So what happens when you don't draw in the cultural heritage? You perpetuate negative stereotypes about the people. that invented that dance. And that's the biggest thing that's happening in education right now. The definitive book has strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. One of the threats is it perpetuates negative stereotypes because the cultural heritage is not in the book. So interviews about the brothers, when they're talking about competing, the words of aggression is what they have in the mind. But they haven't understood they came from a warrior culture, which is the African side, where we use dance as a rites of passage. We use boxing as a rites of passage, and capoeira was used as a rites of passage to do what? To prepare us to be warriors in life, warriors in war. There has to be some form of preparation. Let me repeat that again. There has to be some form of preparation to prepare us as warriors. We were warriors. North, south, east and west. Each community prepared warriors. Why? Because there was wars. Why? To prepare individuals for life, you need a warrior spirit. And you need an activity or development to transfer that knowledge from. So we have people in life are warriors in their spirits, in the way they go about their life socially, physically, intellectually, culturally, emotionally, spiritually. We have political warriors. We have economic warriors. We have technological warriors. We have environmental warriors. We have legal warriors. We talk about warriors in this sense. What are they displaying? What actions are they displaying in their values, their attitude, their behavior, their qualities, their competencies and traits? They're displaying a warrior attitude. Now that warrior attitude comes from something they've done within their own lives. So example, sports. What were sports used for? To develop a positive, competitive spirit. When we see the Olympics, we see, what do we see? We see warriors, female and male warriors in every activity that's in the Olympics. We have warrior commentators who speak from the heart, who speak truths about what they're seeing. They're not afraid to talk about, oh, guess what, I believe, boom, 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 steroids, this, that, boom, 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 or the way politics is impacting in sport. I'm not happy about that. We have individuals that do that. We have news readers that do that. I love Question Time. I love David Dimbleby, because when he speaks, he's a warrior. He's a warrior speaker. So it's important to people to know the history of our culture from where we came first. It's important for people to know the history of our culture from where African diaspora people came first. We come from Africa. That is our first place. Muhammad Ali used to say, the root, not the fruit, because he knew the fruit. The fruit knowledge on UK Club Jazz Dance is people visually watching a culture, not having an understanding of where the culture is coming from.